Hey, history champs! Today we're wrapping our tour of medieval Europe connection to Africa. We turn to the political and economic struggles of medieval Eastern and Northern Europe. And trust me, it's a lot more connected to Africa than you might think. From Viking raids to the rise of the Slavic kingdoms, these regions shaped the medieval world in ways that would influence Africa, the Muslim world, and the broader history of Europe. Let's get into it. Let's start with the Slavic expansion. After the westward migration of the Germanic tribes, the Slavs spread across Europe, taking over large parts of present-day Poland, Hungary, and the Balkans. By the 11th century, we saw the rise of powerful states like Poland, Bohemia, Bulgaria, and Serbia. But what's fascinating is how these Slavs were drawn into the Muslim world, not as traders, but as slaves. But not all of these Slavic captives remained in the shadows. In fact, some became key figures in North African politics. Djawhar, a Slavic slave, went on to become the commander who conquered Egypt and founded Cairo and the Al-Azhar University. His legacy is a powerful reminder of how interconnected these worlds were. Now let's talk about the Vikings. From the 8th to the 10th century, Viking raiders, known as varjags in Eastern Europe, were a major force in the region. They attacked coastal cities, sailed along rivers, and even reached as far as the Caspian Sea. But they weren't just raiders. They were also savvy traders. The Vikings established trade routes from Scandinavia through Eastern Europe, exchanging furs, swords, and slaves with the Muslim world. Some even traveled as far as Baghdad. By the 11th century, the political landscape of Eastern Europe began to stabilize. Christianity spread, uniting Slavic kingdoms with the broader European community. Poland, Hungary, and Bohemia became part of the Christian world, with kings like Boleslaw the Brave and Saint Stephen gaining prominence. This era also marked the end of Viking raids as they transitioned from raiders to rulers in places like Normandy and England. But the Vikings weren't done yet. In the south, Norman descendants of the Vikings conquered Sicily from the Arabs in the late 11th century. From Sicily, they launched raids on North African cities, establishing themselves as a major power in the Mediterranean. So, what's the takeaway? Medieval Eastern and Northern Europe weren't just isolated lands on the edge of the world. They were deeply connected to Africa and the Muslim world through trade, war, and even slavery. The Vikings, Slavs, and Normans all played a role in shaping the medieval Mediterranean, while their economic and political activities influenced regions far beyond Europe. Thanks for joining me on this journey through medieval Eastern and Northern Europe. If you enjoyed learning about these fascinating connections between Europe and Africa, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more history stories that will change the way you see the past. See you next time.